Hello all, welcome to Universal Group of Institutions, Bengaluru. Welcome to this special session on NCERT Economics, the reinterpretation. In our previous video session, we have discussed the importance of the green revolution. How did the India was able to enhance or achieve the food security? We have also looked at a very important scheme that you are supposed to be aware of, which is associated with enhancing the farm output, that is the National Food Security Mission. Later, we also, looking at one of the negative aspect of the green revolution, the how the over application of the fertilizer as well as the over usage of the water has led to the increase in the soil salinity. And do remember very clearly the NPK ideal ratio that we are supposed to be adhered to, and how, by not adhering to, soil has become a infertile. At the same time, I've clearly stressed saying that if you look at the total budget outlay towards the fertilizer subsidy, that has been the 1.6 lakh crore in the present financial year, that is the financial year 2005 and the 2026. Now I have a question for the viewers, the students. Do comment in the comment section what is the total size of the Indian budget for the financial year 25 and 26. Now in this particular video session, we are going to discuss the further themes that are associated with the agricultural holding, as well as the who provides the labor, as well as the credit, and how the other non-farming activities are organized in the fictional village called as the rural village called as Palampur. Now welcome you once again for this today's session. The first thing we are discussing something called as you see very clearly here, graph 1.1, which talks about the distribution of cultivated area and the farmers. On the one side you can very easily see the cultivated area, on the other side you can see the number of farmers. There are two categories here. One happens to be marginal and small farmers, another one happens to be the medium, semi medium, and the large farmers. So if you look at the total number of farmers, if you consider them as 100, the 15 percentage of the farmers happens to be the medium, semi medium, or the large farmers. So these 15 percentage of the farmers are cultivating a area, how much? That is the 55 hectares of land they are cultivating. Look at that number and look at the land they are cultivating. You can easily, very clearly see there is a huge amount of the land inequality. Okay, at the same time, if you look at the marginal and small farmers, they happens to be of 85 percentage, but the land they are cultivating happens to be is 44.6 percentage. So on what basis do we have this data? This is where the reinterpretation enters in, because this particular graph has been taken, or it has been divided on the basis of the agricultural census. So we'll now study what exactly is the agricultural census. From how long we have been conducting this agricultural census. Before we look at, can you see here the category, the size and the class? Who is a marginal farmer? Marginal farmer is somebody who own a land less than 1 hectare. Okay, can you see very clearly? Then the next one happens to be the small farmer is somebody who owns a land between 1 hectares to the 2 hectares. Semi and a medium, somewhere between 2 and 4 hectares. Medium 4 to 10. The large farmers happens to be owning a land which is in excess of 10 hectares. So remember, who is a marginal and a small farmer? There are marginal is somebody who owns a land which is less than 1 hectare. Small is someone who owns a land between 1 to 2 hectares. So this particular classification is done on the basis of the agricultural census. Now, what is the brief history of the agricultural census? The first thing, the way we conduct the population census, as you are already aware, I have discussed in my first video itself. The Ministry of Home Affairs has a particular division called as the Registrar General and the Census Commissioner. That particular office conducts these population census, which happens to be the decadal exercise. Similarly, we also conduct the agricultural census, which is being conducted once in a 5 years. That is quinquennial exercise. That is quinquennial is something that is being done once in a 5 years. So this quinquennial exercise is being done since 1970-71. Yes, you heard it right. This has been done. The first agricultural census that we have conducted is 1970-71. Prior to 70 and 71, the agricultural sample survey has been conducted. Remember this, because the census is completely different and the sample survey is a completely different. As the name suggests, the sample survey, I mean, only certain households, only certain data or the variable is selected to conduct the particular survey. Let's say there are 100 households in a village. If I visits every household and conducts the data, that is called as the census. If I only select the 10 households, then it is called as the sample survey. A small sample is being collected. So remember this very clearly. The agricultural sample survey has been conducted for the year 50 and 60. The first full-fledged census has been being conducted since the 1970 and 71. Till now, I mean, as you can see very clearly, the first census that happens in a 70 71, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right now, the 11th agricultural census is underway. That was supposed to begin in the year, the 2020-2021, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the census was not was able to start in the year 2020 and 2021. And we're expected, I mean, because every agricultural census is conducted across the three phases. The phase 2 of the 11th agricultural census has been completed. Phase 3 is underway. Some of the states, the phase 3 is also complete. So the report, the full-fledged report, is yet to be out of the 11th agricultural census. If we look at very carefully, okay, what the agricultural census, I mean, as you can see, all India report on agricultural census, one such report will be out once the 11th agricultural census is completed. Can you focus here very clearly? Now what happens in a phase 1? Okay, in a phase 1 part, list of holdings with their area, the social characteristics and gender of the holder is prepared. That is gender of the agriculture. That means whether a male is holding or the female is holding. In a phase 2, a detailed data on agricultural characteristics, detailed data, okay, on agriculture characteristics of holding are collected from a selected villages. Look at here, selected village. That means, as you know very clearly, as soon as I only select certain things, it becomes a sample survey. So do remember very clearly, the agricultural census is not really a complete census. In fact, it is a combination of census and a sample survey. Yes, you heard it right. The agricultural census is combination of full-fledged census as well as the sample survey. Because in a phase 1, a full-fledged census is being conducted. In a phase 2, a sample survey is being conducted. So do remember this very, very clearly about the agricultural census for your initial understanding. Got this? I hope. The first census, 1970-71. Okay. The right now the 11th census is underway, which was supposed to begin in 2020 and 2021, was not being we were not able to conduct at that time due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So right now it is underway, having a 3 phases. Phase 3 is right now in a operational and is also the combination of the census as well as the sample survey. So okay, now moving to the next one. Okay, I believe it's very clear. This is what I always called it as the reinterpretation of NCERTs, because these NCERTs are not designed for a student who is preparing for a civil service. Rather, they are designed for a student who is studying in the 9th standard, this particular NCERT. Okay, now moving to the next theme. Who will provide the labor? Who will provide the labor? Now we know very clearly, I mean, the labor is being provided by the landless labor. The When we gained the independence, we had this huge amount of land inequality. On one side, we had the zamindars, the landlords who own a huge amount of the land. On the other hand, we do not. I mean, the large proportion of land who were the landless laborers. That is when the government first carried out the land reforms 1.0. Okay, even the Acharya Vinoba Bhave carried out something called as the Bhudan movement, which ultimately, I mean, which met with some success in a left ruling states like the state of West Bengal and the state of Kerala. In the other places, the land reforms have failed to meet their desired results. As a result, even in the fictional village called as the Palampur village, the landless laborers are providing the labor thing. Okay, so do comment in the comment section. Is there a need to is there a need of new set of land reforms? If yes, why? Okay, now moving to the next one. As you see, the discussion that is happening between the uh, villagers, the two villagers in this particular, that is the Dala and Ramkali, where they are discussing about the credit, the need of the credit. Now here again, reinterpretation, we know very clearly there are two streams, or the sectors. One happens to be the formal credit, another one happens to be the informal credit. Formal credit is where the people are able to access all the financial services from the established financial institutions, like depositing the money, accessing the loan, overdraft facility. All such exist as a part of the formal credit. Then we have the informal credit, where people do approach the money lenders, do approach the microfinance institutions, which are charging exorbitantly very high amount of the interest. So as a part of this, I mean, the government of India in the year 1975. So do comment who was the prime minister in the year 1975. So what the government has done is, understanding the importance of credit for the rural development, they have come up with a new set of banks called as the regional rural banks. These regional rural banks are jointly owned by three entities. Okay, the entity number one is the government of India, which owns 50 percentage of the ownership. Then there is a sponsored bank. Okay, this particular sponsored bank owns 35 percentage of the ownership. Then we have the state government. The state government is going to own the 15 percentage of the ownership. So in the year 1975, on the birth anniversary of the Mahatma Gandhi, the in the year 1975, the government launched five regional rural banks. So later, over a period of a time, we went on to establish more than 50 regional rural banks. But at the as the time has progressed, these RRBs have started to accumulate huge amount of losses. Now the government has something called as a one state, one RRB. On that particular topic, I have already discussed elaborately. You just need to click on a link that you see on your screen and watch that, why there is what is the importance of one state, one RRB, why the government has come up with this particular vision. So moving forward, do remember the aspect. There is something called as a formal credit and the informal credit. Majority of the people are, I mean, in the rural part, are still accessing the fund from the informal credit institution. That is the reason the government, to ensure the financial inclusion, they have come up with something called as the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, or you might have heard it in the name of something called as the zero bank accounts. So what exactly is the financial inclusion? Can you see here very clearly? Financial inclusion aims to integrate all citizens into the formal financial ecosystem, ensuring transparency, resilience through the multi-stakeholder participation, where people have access to affordable financial services, be it overdraft facility, be it the ability to access the loan at affordable rates. That is what the the formal credit institutions is all about. Okay, in India, that is, the penetration of that happens to be very low. So moving to the next theme that is being discussed here is something called as the what are the non-forming activities that are being discussed here, which happens to be very easy. As we see, even in a village, the people not only depend upon the agriculture, people do depend on something called as the livestock rearing. Similarly, in a Palampur, the farmers are dependent upon the dairy activity, where the milk is being sold in the nearest uh, villages as well as the nearest town. Think about the cooperative society revolution. I believe you've heard something called as the Amul. I believe you heard something called as the Nandini, the Karnataka Milk Federations. These happens to be the or the mother dairy. They all happens to be the success stories of something called as the cooperative society led revolution that has happened in India. Think about the Anand, uh, Dr. Kurian, whom we called as the father of the white revolution. So they were able to enhance the non-farm income for the farmers. Similarly, there are MSMEs that are also functioning in the village called as the Palampur, that is the micro, small, and the medium enterprises. Apart from that, there is also the shopkeepers. There is also a small transport business that is taking the villagers to the nearest cities. So this is about the village, the first chapter called as the a village called as the Palampur, the story of Palampur village. So, what have we done across these four video lectures? We have reinterpreted these NCRTs. Nowhere in the textbook they are talking about the fertilizer subsidy. Nowhere they are talking about the National Food Security Mission. Nowhere they are talking about the what is the definition about the urban, who conducts the census, what is the agricultural census. This is what I mean by the reinterpretation of NCRTs, and I can assure you, nowhere these kind of reinterpretation has been done with regard to the video lectures, where we are analyzing all of these NCRTs in a very detailed manner so that the students can benefit it by sitting across the India. So that's it in this particular video session. If you have liked and if you want any other new product from us, do comment in the comment section. If you really loved it, do leave a comment as well, and do share among your friends, the needy, and do share, do subscribe. So that's it in this particular video session. Thank you.